county is willing to put themselves out there and take some new initiatives.
Mike Clausen, General Manager of the Middle Point Landfill.
We want to transform Middle Point into a sustainability campus where we are building recycling facilities. We're building cutting-edge diversion facilities.
Middle Point values its relationship with you, which is why we never tire of serving our neighbors throughout Rutherford County.
Learn more at middlepointlandfill.com.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome into WGNS, the Roundtable. I'm Andy Herzer, founder and executive director of First Shot. I get to welcome in probably one of the most influential coaches I've been around in the last 20 years, Coach Kermit Davis, Hall of Fame coach, and most of all, most importantly, I think to this community, a friend. Coach, how have you been doing?
I'm doing good, Andy. It's great being with you. I'm in Florida, spent a couple weeks here. Got my tail whipped on pickleball tournament, Andy, by two young bucks. So I got beat. So I'm got my head tucked in, headed back to Mississippi today after a tough pickleball loss.
So that's the latest craze, huh? Pickleball you picked up. You got to compete, don't you, Coach?
I got to compete. I was a little wounded, and Betty, my wife, loves it. She got me playing, so I've got a good group down here. And so, yeah, we've stayed active in that. And but headed back to Oxford and looking forward to being in Murfreesboro in a couple of weeks.
Coach, update us on your family. Betty, the girls, how they doing? I mean, they became such an integral part of this community. Well,
thanks, Andy. Murfreesboro's home, and I think anybody, obviously you coached and you understand it as good as anybody, Andy. You move around. I think we lived in, 7 or 8, 9 different states and coached a lot of different places, but where you raise your children is really what you call home, and so we were there for 16 years, and we saw Claire and Allie grow up there, and it takes so many people to help you raise your children, especially when you have a special needs like Allie. And so Murfreesboro, Middle Tennessee was a huge part of Allie becoming the lady she is today. And but Allie's doing good. She'll be 37 in December. She's working in school systems and doing some things. She gets started tomorrow when we get back. Claire is in Tupelo, her and her husband Fletcher. We have our first grandson, Davis, who just turned 2 years old. So doing a lot with Davis. I'm so lucky, Andy. My parents, who absolutely, they still love Murfreesboro. My dad still asks me about them. I'm so lucky. They're both living, 89 and 87. And so everybody is good. I appreciate you asking. And they're all coming up in a couple of weeks, and looking forward to be back in the borough.
That grandbaby changes your life, Coach. We just took our 18-year-old granddaughter to UT Chat. So it just so you know, it'll be a blink, and that young man will be in college and doing his thing. But Coach, let's talk about the college basketball as it is right now, the state of it, how you see the portal and the likeness money, and now the new collective bargaining that's going to come in. How's it going to change the dynamics of college basketball or college sports in general?
Yeah, I think just the state of basketball, take all the other stuff out of it, it's still as popular as it's ever been, Andy. I mean, people still love watching college basketball. Now, getting to that product that the people see on the floor has totally changed. And I think all coaches are for name, image, and likeness. We are for the players getting their share. But it's not name, image, and likeness anymore. It's just pay for play. And because how it was set up, as we all know, Andy, is that, if Andy Herzer is playing at Middle Tennessee and he's a really good player, he's impacted winning, and the local car dealer wants to let Andy drive a car and he does commercials for that, that's what, endorsements are. And that's how name, image, and likeness was technically set up. But then the collectives got set up and then it's just pay for play. And I really don't think even the collectives are the problem. It's the transfer portal, because now, you know, Ronald Dupree, who's over scouting, he was a great player for us at LSU for the Milwaukee Bucks. He calls the other day and he goes, "Coach, tell me about it." I said, "Well, Ron, okay, you're the Bucks. If you had no salary cap and your guys could leave at any time, how would your team in the NBA function?" He goes, I can't even imagine it. I said, "Okay, welcome to college athletics." And so if it wasn't for the portal, Andy, I think the NIL would shape right. But since all these guys, their values just increase so much because they just threaten to leave. And so the people trying to keep them, the value goes up. The money people can spend and instantly get a really good player, the value goes up. So I think that's the biggest problem. And to answer the third part of the question, you know, with just even the judge, you know, with with trying to, I guess the $20 million was set that each Power Four, you know, was going to be able to distribute how they liked into their NILs on campus. Well, the judge threw it out because there was wording in that injunction that they're really trying, okay, let's have a $20 million cap and maybe the collectives go away. Well, the judge said no, we want the collectives to stay. They think it's unfair to the student athletes because that would inhibit them from making the most money they could possibly make. So it's still a lot of things to be worked out, but it's definitely changed, Andy. I don't think the coaches are having as much fun as they used to. They still love coaching part of it, but the other parts, as you well know, has drastically changed.
Coach, how can they fix the portal? I mean, is there any going back?
It's unfixable now, Andy. It's unfixable because it's been played out in the courts. And you know, it started. You know who started, Andy? Not his fault, but Lon Kruger's son, who's now the head coach at Vegas. He was going from Arizona State. Lon got the job at Vegas, and they said, "Look, I want my son to play for me." He just graduated from Arizona State. He was the very first one that they filed, said, "Okay, if you graduate from college, we think you get a chance to go play immediately at the school." And we all knew when it happened that was going to eventually open up the floodgates. So then it got to be, okay, let's do a one-time transfer. All the coaches, Andy, are in favor of a one-time transfer. That was fine. But then what happened last year? They said, okay, the second-time transfer is going to be ineligible. Well, what happened? They took them right to court, you know, well-being, I had a death or, you know, somebody's ailing in my family, get closer to home, blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden, bam, here it goes, floodgates open. Now, Andy, I think it's unrepairable. I think the transfer portal is here and as many times as you want to transfer.
Wow. So, Coach, do you think the fans are going to embrace this, or you just don't? I mean, how do you ever get used to, you know, Boogie Yates for 4 years playing for you, or any of your guys that played 4 years, 3 years? That's a thing of the past then when they blow up and are good players.
Yeah, you're right, Andy. I mean, and it even happens at the Power Five. I mean, at least at the Power Four now, at least there, if a guy threatens to leave, you have enough money to pay him to stay. You know, at Middle Tennessee's of the world, I mean, like you're right about Boogie or Kevin Kanaski or think those last 8 or 10 years of the teams we've had. I mean, do you think Reggie Upshaw, who Reggie and I and Giddy and Perrin and all those guys have great relationships, darn all of them. I mean, Reggie Upshaw would have been at Kentucky. He'd have been at Tennessee. Giddy Potts would have been at Alabama or Auburn making $750,000 or $500,000. So how do you keeping those teams together is a thing of the past. And it happens even, I was talking to Lamont Paris, who's the coach at South Carolina 2 days ago. Michie Johnson was a guy that, you know, was this unbelievable story, maybe the most improved guard in college basketball. He goes, Kermit, I think Michie and I have this wonderful relationship. But it was just the money and nothing against what Ohio State did, just paid him this amount of money to go, and he transferred from South Carolina to Ohio State. And so, and it could go either way. And you're not singling out. It's not illegal anymore. It's just the nature of college athletics.
Well, you know, Coach, I'll never forget when I got into coaching. I won't mention the guy's name, but he said, You know, if I was you and I'm at UNC Asheville, I'd go to the NAIA National Tournament and recruit the best freshmen and sophomore off their benches. So it's been going on, Coach. It's just now legal, and it's going to continue to grow, I believe.
Yeah, you know, the only thing, like, okay, think about the players of the years we had at middle. 1-year transfers. LeRon Dendy, Iowa State, Middle Tennessee. JaCorey Williams, Arkansas, Middle Tennessee. Nick King, Alabama, Middle Tennessee. But what they did is they set out. You know, now Nick was a graduate, but those guys set out a year, and it helped them. You know, and they became players of the year, I believe, because of they set out, they grew, matured, you know, into a system. But, you know, like, so it's been going on. It's just those guys were sitting out unless you graduated. And but you're right. It's a thing of the past. The only person or the only group of people that can fix it is the federal government. And that's what they're looking to right now, is the federal government to somehow put their arms around it. Either that, Andy, or those Power Four fixing to break away from the NCAA. They're going to form their own set of rules, and they're going to be able to govern themselves. And I think that's what eventually, in future years, is exactly what's about to happen.
Coach, even with this, and you just said something, the culture in college basketball with the portal, are we going to start to see a significant change of players truly not developing to their full potential because he's on the move?
Yeah, it's going to be different. You wonder about the toughness things, and I'll say this, Andy. You know, when you talk to, like, I'll come back and in a couple of weeks and see former players and former coaches, and you know what we laugh about the most, Andy, are the tough things those guys went through in practice. You know, we'll talk about some of the wins and the championships and all that, but I'm telling you, what we sit around the breakfast table at or sitting around with some lunch is they tell you, Coach, you remember that day in practice when this happened, a 3-on-3 rebounding, you kicked this guy out of practice, the tough stuff. I mean, all those things are the funniest things that we all had to go through from a hard standpoint. And so some of those things are going to be left behind. So maybe in some of those cases, Andy, guys won't maybe reach their peak, you know, because maybe not having to go through the difficult things that most players had to go through, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
So kind of what you're saying is, how are we going to hold them accountable on the court in the practice times because of the portal? Does that change that, Coach, how you got to coach them?
Well, you still have to play to increase your value. You still have to impact winning to increase your value. That's the one thing that you have. And anytime I get the chance to go speak to a team or go and visit with young players, I mean, everybody's their individual brand. Well, let me tell you, increase your individual brand. Yeah, obviously, you got to put hours in the gym. You better be coached, but you better impact winning. You know, and if you impact winning, then maybe it's your chance to go from a smaller low major to a mid-major, or mid-major, high major, or maybe from a high major to be a professional. So you still have to improve in your basketball. The only thing, Andy, what's so difficult for these guys, and on the front end it's good, but on the back end you wonder where it's going to end up. Some of these guys, Andy, are going to be making the most money they've ever made in their entire life when they're 18, 19, 20 years old. And then from there, you hope it doesn't happen, but for the next 20, they may never, ever make that kind of money again. So you start thinking, okay, the guy goes and signs a $500,000 contract for NIL or collective, Andy. Okay, so now the taxes are going to get 20, 25%. His agent's going to get 10 or 15%. He buys a new car. So how much does he really have left? You know, and then all of a sudden we all know that number can dwindle pretty quick. And then you don't make the NBA. Now you're going to Europe. Some of those salaries have gone way down. So we wonder how guys are going to function. How would I have functioned, Andy? The most money I ever made is when I was 20 or 21, and it kind of your value maybe didn't increase the rest of your life.
Well, it's kind of the conversation that I've had with my cousin, Matt Painter, is that financial literacy for these players that are getting these big, it really becomes important. And if we aren't educating them, Coach, they are going to struggle when that air comes out of the ball, because we all know the air comes out of the ball. It's just
Yep.
when.
Yeah, exactly right. And, you make a great point. I mean, Matt, I think if he's not the best, he's in the top 5 college basketball coaches. And obviously, you know him better than anybody. But on the other hand, the NIL, think about what it did. It gave him Zach Edey for another year, just because of the money that, the value he could make at Purdue. And so, and the notoriety that it helped, with Purdue winning championships. And that story of what, on the other end, what Matt did. I was one of those dumb coaches, Andy, that, okay, I signed Matt Morrell at IMG, top 35 players in the country at that time, was the highest rated player ever to sign. Zach Edey, as you know, he couldn't get on the floor with that team. So I was one of those dumb coaches. What about those coaches? Well, I went through IMG about 7 times and saw all those celebrated guys and saw Zach on the other end kind of working individually, doing jump hooks, just trying to run, and then see him develop into what he's going to be. And he's going to be a great pro. So, Matt's done that his whole life.
Well, I think it's for him, Coach, he's never been, and you can understand this because of where you've been, it's kind of Mississippi. It's not the story program in the SEC. Purdue has never been the story program in the Big Ten. It's always been the second-class citizen a little bit. So you guys have always embraced that and found success, Coach. Just like here at Middle. Middle's never been the school in their league. You made it the school when you were here, but it has never been just the school.
Yeah, it's so the development. So what you're saying, and you asked that earlier, and it's a great point. The development is still a piece. It has to be. Now, maybe trying to get to that development is just different, Andy, and the way your tactics of getting there has got to be different, as it used to be. But it's like that first team, and I always say it. I've never coached a team harder in my entire life than that group of guys y'all left, and y'all left us some really good players. I mean, I think future Hall of Famers. You know that, Andy. I mean, you're on that staff. I mean, John Humphrey, Tommy Gunn, and William Pippen, and Parham, and Brian Mitchell. I mean, there's a lot of really good players. But that first year, I mean, I coached those guys so hard. I mean, I coached them so hard, and they went through some real difficult times. And to watch that team kind of grow and the talent was there was really a fun part for me in that 7 or 8, 9 months.
But, I think if we look back as coaches, I'd rather be on the floor than probably even in a game, Coach. I enjoyed sweating and seeing a team work its tail off and get better. And I've been to your practices. There's no one that pushes anybody harder than you did.
Well, Andy, people say, do you miss coaching? I do. I miss that part of it more than anything. I miss right now, like being in the office at 7 a.m. and planning practice, watching film from the night before, individual workouts, trying to, kind of see your talent and this doesn't work. This may be better for us, the scouting part. I'm the same way. Sometimes we always talked about the games get in the way of a great profession sometimes. I mean, we all like being out there, but the practice part of it and the preparation, Andy, was always the most fun for me.
Coach, when you look back at here, what was the most difficult transition coming from LSU to here for you?
I don't know if it was difficult, Andy, because I'd been at LSU and we were really good and those kind of things. And, but I'd been a junior college player. I'd been a junior college coach for 5 years. I'd coached at Idaho. I'd coached at Utah State. I'd always had some jobs that were, and I just always followed Middle from afar. And I just thought the possibilities were unbelievable because of the area. And so I don't know if it was just a transition. It was just trying to, to establish what you believed in. And like I said, I replaced a really good staff and they left me really good players. And then you just keep working. And, some of what's probably the most difficult things is those mid-years we went through so many injuries. We had a team of, Boogie Yates was all-time leading scorer, but people realize, Boogie, boy, busted his knee up and limped the last year and a half. Kevin Kanaski played with a fractured back and Tim Blue, who's still playing, this 6'10" guy nobody remembers. I mean, just so those kind of things, we couldn't really get our guys on the floor.
Who was the guy with the shoulder, the shooter, the Juca?
Adam Vogelsberg.
Yeah,
Adam Vogelsberg was.
He limped.
I mean, Mike Dean, the one year we were. I hate to go back to some negatives. Mike Dean was this great player, and he was the best guard in the league. At one time, we thought we had a great chance to go win the tournament. Broke his hand like the last game of the year before we went to the tournament. So probably those were the things that stood out to me that we, maybe would love to have gotten those guys. And then like my last 7 or 8 years, Andy, we could have thrown guys off the Murphy Center, nobody get hurt. I'm telling you, like they'd land on both feet like a cat, and nobody got hurt. We stayed healthy and just, and it was, fun to coach and not worry about all the injuries that some of those guys went through early.
Coach, you look at your career here, highlight it. Highlight the things that, besides you and I, we're on the bus guys. We like the camaraderie, the practices. We go back and with our players, and that's what we're talking about. But highlight what you think was the big 2 or 3 guys that you got that just really elevated middle to a new height.
Yeah, but with middle, obviously, and I mean this, Andy, and I said I'm going to repeat myself, but those 3 or 4 guys that, I still talk to. John Humphrey called me, and I talked to Tommy Gunn and talked to his son, when he went down to Chipola, and and all those guys meant a lot. I'll never forget the first Sunbelt game that, we played, and Western was the gold standard, and we upset Western at home in our first Sunbelt game, and then went on to get beat in the championship game that year. So I remember that team vividly because of, of that very first year. Boogie obviously was a guy that, came in and changed. Kevin Kanaski was really unrecruited. Now he's a Hall of Famer, and then we tied. I think we won a championship in 2010, and then obviously LaRon Dendy, Marcos Knight, those Bruce Massey, those guys really kind of got it going, and then just lead up all the way to the players that everybody remembers at the end. But really, Andy, I look back, it was, just the assistant coaches and all the players, the walk-ons, the managers. I really mean this, just from trainers, SIDs. I mean, Tony Stennett was the beat writer for the D&J, when I got the job, and so, Andy, you did the color for our games early on. I mean, just all the people that had such an influence on our program.
Well, we're going to take a break, Coach Davis, and we'll be right back with Hall of Fame coach Kermit Davis.
Support First Shot at Autumn at the Alley. It will be held at Saddle Woods Farm on Franklin Road in Murfreesboro on Wednesday, September 25th from 6 until 9 p.m. It supports First Shot STEM Academy and Academic All-Stars initiatives. The night is a fantastic event with unique tastings from various spirit brands and great wines and food from the Alley on Main. Top the night off with a fabulous silent auction. Go to firstshottn.org for more information, and see you at Autumn at the Alley September 25th.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
I'm really excited to announce that Lisa, Trevor, and I just got back from market. We were in Las Vegas picking out all new things to show you guys. Brand new stock of gold earrings, fashion pieces. I mean, I can't even name everything that we saw that we cannot wait to show you guys. So come visit us at Bell Jewelers and see all the new pieces that we picked out for you. Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
You know the value of good name who looks out for you. And when it comes to Medicare, it's good to have someone on your side. That's where Senior Financial Group comes in. We're Tennesseans, just like you. And we've partnered with United Healthcare, a trusted name in health insurance. Together, we'll guide you through your Medicare options. We will compare plans, answer your questions, and ensure you get the most of your Medicare benefits with United Healthcare. Don't navigate Medicare alone. Call Senior Financial Group at 800-690-0251 or visit sfgmedicare.com for a free plan review today.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
I've got pets.
AmeriCare Services Incorporated, family-owned and operated. For residential and commercial customers, we offer a full range of services. Our services include one-time, monthly, and quarterly pest control, termite control, moisture and fungus control, automatic foundation vents, and more. Licensed, insured, and bonded for your protection. 893-7111.
Call the best of the best to get rid of your pest.
AmeriCare Services Incorporated.
When you hear local businesses advertising on WGNS, go out of your way to tell them, I heard you on WGNS. The 34th Annual White Oak Craft Fair is this Saturday and Sunday at the Art Center of Cannon County in neighboring Woodbury. This weekend. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the Wings of Freedom Fish Fry. That's over at the Smyrna Airport. Saturday, September the 21st. That same Saturday brings the 16th annual Hammer Down for Habitat Poker Run, a 100-mile run for motorcycles and cars, and it benefits our local Habitat for Humanity. The 16th annual Hammer Down for Habitat Poker Run. That's Saturday, September 21st. Call the Rutherford County Habitat for Humanity for more information. And Saturday, September the 21st, brings the annual Kittrell School Reunion. This year, a new location. It's at Kittrell School this year. And that's 10 until 2, Saturday, September the 21st. Fall begins September 22nd. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
Skies become mostly sunny here this afternoon with a high into the mid-80s. For tonight, mostly clear, low near 56. Tuesday, sunshine, a high around 91. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 59.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. As a member of MTE, you have access to educational resources to help you tailor energy use to your lifestyle. Interested in electric vehicles? MTE offers incentives to learn about EVs and connect with others who share your interest.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable. I'm Andy Herger, and I'm here with Hall of Fame coach Kermit Davis. Coach Davis, besides pickleball, which I haven't played yet, and golf, what else is Kermit Davis?
Well, I'm going to, I'm doing a deal with XM Radio with, obviously, it was a great friend of mine, Chris Childers, and Rick Newhousel. I do a basketball part, really kind of a basketball starts. I really enjoy that. I'm going to do some TV, some SEC Plus stuff this year. I don't know how many games, and kind of start that. And I tell you what I enjoy more than anything, Andy, is going and seeing former coaches, assistant coaches, head coaches, whether Division II, Zane Gibson at Fort Smith, or a couple of my GAs, they're now junior college coaches, or Donnie Tyndall, who's this great coach at Chipola, or wherever it may be, and going and visiting with teams and talking and doing that. So I love that part of it. And then really, just like I've always done in my spare time, Andy, it's really family for me and spending a ton of time with my grandson, Davis.
You know, Coach, I always said when you were still here that you are going to be great at TV. You have unbelievable insight, but also you have humor. You can make people laugh, and you know, it's a rare gift, and when you can combine them both, Coach. And I think you're going to have a great career in broadcasting.
Well, I appreciate that, Andy. I enjoyed it. Not many things come natural, and that one does. And I owe it to my dad. He was always good at it. He was always easy on his feet. And when I grew up in this, I always say it, Andy, I grew up on second base, you know, in this coaching profession. And I did. I bet every time he'd go speak, I wanted to tag along. My brother didn't care anything about it, but I wanted to go to the banquets and just sit and listen and, you know, and meet the coaches. And I was young. And so, but that's part of it. I am looking forward to it because, you know, that's some things, and we've all been on TV a bunch, but I've never done like color and different things. So I'm going to get a little start this year and see where it goes.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in that. And I just think you're going to be such a natural coach because, again, your insight. Going back to when I used to do the radio, and why you ever let a guy from a previous staff do color is just beyond my wildest thing. But, Coach, I want to ask, how were you so prepared coming out of huddles to get point-blank shots? They didn't always go in, but you were getting a shot, Coach.
Well, you know, I guess it's something that just seeing offense and the time I guess I'd spent for so many years, I felt comfortable. I kind of felt comfortable of watching as much tape as I did. Hopefully that it paid off of being able to know what you think would give your guys maybe the best chance coming out of a timeout or a dead ball to get some kind of clean look. And like, again, it was just something that, I don't know, Andy, I was one of those guys that, I don't mean this egotistically by any means, but, you know, I could watch tape, and I know some guys could watch it for a long, long time, and I could kind of see it in 3 or 4 times. I don't know. It's something that instinctively, and I think that's being the son of a coach and how I grew up and innately kind of came to me. And but that was a fun part for me, being able to do it and, you know, to be able to maybe give your guys a chance to get a quick basket for sure.
Coach, if you ever think you'll come back in this, what would you change and what would you do the same? Yeah,
you know, I think that to change and to get better at is, you know, I was, as you know, on the sidelines and fiery, and I'd call them competitive huddles. And, you know, we'd come off and we'd have competitive huddles and you know, and I didn't mind competitive people in my huddles, like guys who were into competing, because I knew my way of maybe going, you know, boom, right at a guy in a huddle, and a guy fire back, not in a complaining way, not an excuse way, but a competitive way. And I called them competitive huddles. I got it. I didn't mind that at all, you know. So probably a little more at sometimes of calming demeanor on the sidelines and, you know, but, you know, part of that made me who I was, and part of it is something I would try to get better at it, especially in this day and time.
Coach, when you look at it, those guys that you had that had fire in the huddle with you, name your top 5 guys that you just knew when you were going at them and they came back, something good was going to happen.
Gosh, I mean, Kanaski was one. He was so tough. I mean, what he did. I mean, what he did and what he played through, nobody would. I don't know anybody else in college basketball ever played what he played through injury-wise. Doctors told him not to, and he did it. Marcos Knight was an unbelievable competitor. Bruce Massey, and I had so many of them on that team, but I'm talking about just tough and physical. You know, Ja'Cory Williams was just. I mean, you could go right at him, and he may pop something right back at you, but it was competitive in nature. I mean, Reggie Upshaw kind of came in quiet, and I was on Reggie's tail so much about body language as a young guy, you know, and he thought I was a devil for about the first year, I think, Andy, you know, and then Reggie and I are so close because how competitive and all that. I could kind of go through a ton of guys. I know I'm leaving some guys out, but we really did. We were blessed with some real tough, competitive guys on our team.
Coach, for you, getting prepared for this speech, what are the things? Because you know, you're always afraid you're going to leave somebody out, just like you are right now. You're afraid you just left someone out.
Yeah,
there's no way you could go through that litany of everybody in this town, in this community that helped you, because there's been so many. But Coach, you have a gift of building community. Talk about how you go about that and why it was so important here.
Yeah, and to add to that, Andy, obviously Coach Donnelly is the one who gave me the opportunity. He and Dr. McPhee, and I mean, Coach Donnelly was unbelievable to me, and he was McPhee and Liz, who, how many guys in 16 years had the same president, and the president was your friend. I mean, he was your friend, and Dr. McPhee loved athletics and loved basketball, and so did Liz. And Betty and I had a personal relationship with our boss. That's hard to find. I mean, I had 2 presidents and 2 ADs in 5 years at Ole Miss, and then when Coach Donnelly left athletics, and Chris Massaro, another great friend, that I worked for all those years, and so they were a huge part. And Andy, as you all know, you go stay somewhere 16 years now, you're going to go through some great highs. You're going to go through some hard times too. You got to have some pals hunkered down right there with you. And so that's part of it that I'll remember. I think that Betty and I have always just been a team effort in communities. It's something we really enjoy. We love going out and enjoying people and enjoying the community. I think you establish the relationships of how you treat people in your building, Andy, whether it's the custodial that's there late at night or your biggest booster, and just relationships I enjoyed so much, which sometimes you lose them at the Power 5 level, because all of our offices, you well know it, and I'm right across from the compliance officer, right across from the women's golf coach, all these guys and ladies. Stock's office, Andy McCullum's office was right down the hall. So you run into everybody all the time. And so I just think it's how you treat people. And I would sure hope that, when you prepare for a speech, and I'm telling you, I won't do a ton. I just want to go through some different things that the people that meant a lot to us, and thank those people. Because really, when you get inducted in the Hall of Fame, what you're really doing, Andy, it should be a speech of gratefulness and who you thank to help you get there. Because, that's really all it is. And of the people that work so hard with you to help you get to this, thing that'll happen in a couple of weeks. So it's a team effort for everybody. But I'll say this lastly about the community. God, Murfreesboro is such an easy community to be involved in. I mean, we just absolutely loved it. And getting to know you and watch your first shot, to evolve in what it is right now, or going to play 18 holes at Stones River and just hanging out with those cats out there, so it's just everything about it was fun for us, and our girls enjoyed it. I really think we just really enjoyed being a part of it.
Coach, again, for you, man, it's just been an incredible ride. Give us 2 stories of just something behind the scenes that happened that's funny, that maybe changed a season.
Well, I never forget the first one. As years start running together, God, our team was struggling. I can't even remember. I can't remember the year, Andy, but I kicked him out of the locker room. And I said, we couldn't wear Middle Tennessee stuff at practice. You've heard of this before. I don't know if many people had done it we went way back and we did it, and it wasn't copying. It was just on the heart one night. Our team wasn't right. And I said, the only way is you've got to win 3 games in a row and to be able to do it. And they had a black trash bag is where they put their stuff in. And it took us about 2.5 weeks, of some blood and guts practicing. And finally, we won 3 games in a row, and our team got really right at the end of the year. And I never forget, those guys walked right from the floor. And I walked into the locker, nobody was there. This little room we had them dressed in. They had all their bags over their shoulders, putting their stuff in the locker room. Said, "Okay, by God, we're back in the locker room now." But those are kind of stories we laugh about. It's that was the fun part. So that was a great one. And God, I remember one time, and I may tell it at the banquet. We won at UCLA, and we won by 21. And Win Case and I were the only two left at the bar, Andy. It was late. It was the bar at the hotel where we were staying, the Marriott or something in LA. And we knew we had a good team, and we played like it. UCLA was good. And I think Win about 1:30 in the morning was on top of a bar, and he hollered something like, "We just beat UCLA." I said, "Win, I've never fired a guy in a bar, but you may be the first one. Get your butt off the bar. We're both going to get fired right here in LA after we've had this huge win." So, but it was, a bunch of stories, but a lot of fun things. And I'll be looking forward to sharing some of those with our players and coaches when we get up there.
Coach, when you look at it, I think the other great thing that you did was win on the road here at Middle. And from the very get-go, you established that. So after we take the break, I want you to tell how you went about being on the road. We'll take a quick break and be right back with Hall of Fame coach Kermit Davis.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated. And you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all of that. We find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
Are you tired of feeling like just another number with your insurance provider? At Rayburn Insurance Agency in Smyrna, Agent Rick Hall prides himself on offering personalized service that puts you first. Every client's needs are unique. From personal home and auto coverage to tailored business insurance, Rick Hall's got you covered. Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance Agency in Smyrna, where you're more than just a policy number. You're a neighbor.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments. Stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
Mark your calendars for September 13th.
Sarah Calendar of Main Street, Murfreesboro.
Dive into downtown after 5 to 8 p.m. Explore local boutiques, discover unique gifts, update your fall wardrobe and home decor from downtown's locally owned businesses. Shop till you drop with exclusive finds and special deals. Enjoy live music and immerse yourself in the vibrant local art show around the historic courthouse.
Don't forget dinner at one of the charming downtown restaurants during Downtown After 5 this Friday, September 13th.
Premier 6 Theater on Broad in Jackson Heights.
Let's all go to the movies.
Check out what's showing at murfreesboromovies.com. Popcorn popped fresh daily.
Movies at the good old
Premier 6 on Broad in Jackson Heights.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable. I'm Andy Herzier, founder and executive director of First Shot. Here's my shameless plug, Coach, for First Shot. We have two things going on right now. We have the Autumn with the Alley, And if you'd like to purchase a ticket, you can go to firstshottn.org, or you can give me a call at 615-631-5312. That's food, spirits, wine, and a cigar tasting out at Saddlewoods Farm on September 25th. Next, our Winter League registration is about to open, so this is save the date, October 1st. Registration begins. We have limited spots for boys and girls 5 to 14. So again, Coach Davis, welcome back in. Let's talk about, man, I loved how you guys won on the road. I think it's the most difficult thing in college sports, no matter what the sport is.
Yeah, I think, Andy, one time, I think we had a couple different times we had the nation's longest road winning streak, and we prided ourselves on that. And you only do it you have to go through tough things. Obviously players. You got to have really good players to be able to do that. No question about it. In any sport, whether you're Alabama football and Nick Saban. But I think those guys have got to go through some difficult things in practice. It has to be very, very competitive. You have to relish, and we talked about, being down on the road early when things aren't going right, being able to go to the next play. And we call them, the greatest feelings. We all coach for happy locker rooms. And I mean it. Those, you can say what you want to say about anything, but the biggest joy that I ever got was those 2 to 4 or 5 minutes after an unbelievable win on the road. You walked out of Diddle Arena, or you walked out of Tennessee, or when you beat Ole Miss at Ole Miss, or wherever it may be, and you walk into that locker room with your guys, your managers, your trainers, the cats who were in that gym, those times going through all that stuff, and just that 2 to 3 or 4 minutes of great joy. Now everything's videoed. Back then it was raw. Everything was not videoed, Andy, as you know.
Yep.
You're in those locker rooms. And that was just the coolest thing on the road, and we talked about it all the time. Happy locker rooms on the road, of walking out of, say, Diddle Arena, that place was rocking, and you took a right there into that deal, and just to see your guys and knew everything that you did with the preparation was totally worth it, and celebrate with those people in that locker room for 2 to 4 minutes. That's what it was all about. That was my biggest joy.
Well, I think the other thing you brought back was the rivalry between Western Kentucky and, Middle Tennessee. You can't have a rivalry if you don't win. And you brought it back, Coach, and people still talk about, we've become the basketball school, and that school up north is the football school now. But it's changed. You changed the dynamic of that, and that's because you won on the road. And we sure do appreciate it here in Murfreesboro. Coach, looking again at your career here, 5 top road wins, 5 top wins, period.
Obviously the Michigan State one is the one. I know it's the most notable, but it really wasn't unbelievable. We didn't win the league that year, Andy. We finished second. And our starting 2 guard, Ed Simpson, fractured, the most gruesome injury I've ever had a player have the day before we play in the conference tournament. And to watch a guy like Jaquan Raymond just go to the point and play unbelievable. And we win that. Reggie makes 2 big free throws. We beat a really good Old Dominion team. And just the confidence that we played with. I saw time on the road a bunch. Michigan State played good. They just won the Big Ten championship. People thought so. That win was an unbelievable win. The Old Dominion game, having to win that game to get there, obviously was great. And then the next year to back it up and beat, obviously, Minnesota, in the first round. And really hate to say this egotistically too, but in Richard Pitino, I talked about Richard and them got screwed because we weren't a 12th seed. We're about a 6th or 7th seed. Our team was good. We should have been a Sweet 16 team, got beat by Butler. The win at UCLA was unbelievable. And then the NIT win at Tennessee, Andy, where, that was a team we knew we were an at-large team. We thought we could have been maybe a Sweet 16 team. That was the team with Ryan and all those guys and Marcos and Bruce Massey, Sean Jones came off the bench, who was later MVP of the league. So, those things were that was great. And we ended up into the game on a 15-0 run. And so those wins were great. Probably at middle were, some of our best.
Coach, when you look at that, not very many people in 16 years can say all those wins. So I know great players make great coaches, but great coaches get great players to come play for them. And I think that's what you and your staff did. And talk about how you would grind the recruiting trail. You guys were relentless to me.
Well, they had a lot of really, really good assistants. I mean, I did. GAs, a lot of those guys have gone on to be, SEC head coaches and Division I coaches. And I think a lot of those guys will be back, for that weekend or maybe that night on that Friday. And if they can, I surely understand because of the time constraints. But, we did. I thought we worked at it. Number one, we had great coaches that helped me. Number two, we had an unbelievable product to sell. We brought kids to Murfreesboro and that campus, and they got a taste of that community. They loved it. When kids got there, they had a great time. So then, as you know, Andy, then when you start having some success, your players sell it. So really at the end, your players become your best recruiters when they get on campus. And that's exactly what happened. And then, like I said, the last those 8 healthy. And so those players were able to develop and really became really, really good players. And it was a fun process to go through.
People just don't understand. It's those people like your strength coach. You mention about not having injuries. It started with your strength coach, your trainers, all of it, coach. So I know you're going to thank all of them, but I think your strength coach your last 10 years was phenomenal.
Oh, I'm telling you, we had like Jason Spray. I think we gave him his start. I think I hired him as a GA. Zach came in, and I'm telling you, like Andy, we'd go play these Power 5 teams. We beat Auburn, we beat Vanderbilt 3 or 4 times, we beat Ole Miss, 4 out of 5 times, whatever it was. And they'd walk in, they go like, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "We don't have this great training table. We don't, everybody uses the same weight room, but it's just we looked like a Power 5 because of the physicalness of it." And you credit, Drew Shea was an unbelievable trainer, throughout there. And Drew's still actively involved in the community. And we had some great, like I said, the strength conditioning people were fantastic. And our guys just bought into it. And you did. Like when we popped that thing up and we jumped it up, we looked like that or better than those Power 5 teams that we beat.
I remember a good coaching friend of mine that was a lead scout came to the Vanderbilt game, and he said if you would close your eyes and switch uniforms, you would have thought that middle was the Power 5, not the mid-major. So again, it's crazy how your kids bought into it, Coach.
Yeah, and then like I said, that's a lot of times when I wasn't even in that room. That was just our strength guy with those guys working, and and they just brought it every day. They knew how important it was. But again, it goes back to the recruiting part, Andy, that you just brought up. I mean, those guys. They loved hoops. They loved basketball. They were into winning. Those really good teams. I mean, those guys gave a lot up for themselves for the team. And they could have averaged so many more points maybe at different places, but they were just unselfish and they understood the process to kind of get to the end result of winning championships and be able to go and play and beat Power 5 teams on the road. And that's when kind of your program has arrived.
Well, again, Coach, I really appreciate you spending time with me here at WGNS. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and Betty and for all the support you've given me over the years with First Shot, getting speakers, writing your own check. It really means the world to me. You've been a great friend. And again, I can't wait to see you on the Hall of Fame inductive weekend.
Well, Andy, and I'm going to say this in closing too, nobody has done more for the youth in that community than you have. And like I said, I saw it firsthand just when we talked about it as an early stage, and and I just watched you grow it, and all the impactful things that you've done means a lot, because Murfreesboro means so much. So thank you, Andy. Your friendship means a bunch. This has been a great hour. You've given me my basketball fix for the week, Andy. So I appreciate you so much. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Coach.